Overview. This module will guide you through the next general aspects of a dog's estrus cycle and reproduction process and will lead us into our next topic, dog development, which begins at birth. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, students will 1. Recall the duration, frequency, and stages of dog estrus cycles. 2. Explain the difference between dog and wolf reproductive cycles. 3. Be able to predict when a dog may go into heat. 4. Recall the fertilization period and how to detect pregnancy in dogs. 5. State the length of gestation in dogs. And 6. Describe the stations of parturition in dogs. Learning activities. Required readings. Coria, 2002. Required in-module content in the descriptions and Module 2.4 reading quiz. Estrus cycle and sexual reproduction. Many service dog training organizations breed their own dogs so that they may select physical and behavioral characteristics that are associated with more successful service dogs. In this module, you will be learning about the canine reproductive cycle when fertilization occurs, how to know if a dog is pregnant, and how long gestation occurs. In-depth discussion of genetics are outside the scope of this classroom, but it should be noted that any breeder should be well versed in genetics, especially related to their particular breed or the goal of the dogs being bred. Reproductive organs. In female dogs, also called the bitch, the structures most important to reproduction are the ovaries and the uterus. The ovaries are responsible for the production of the ova, or the eggs, which move to the uterus in about 2 days. The uterus is the site of implantation of the fertilized eggs and subsequent placental and fetal development. In other words, the uterus is where the baby develops before birth. In males, the important reproductive organs are the testicles, which produce sperm, as do ovaries produce eggs, and the penis. The bulbus glandis is the swelling of the penis. When mating, the bulbus glandis occurs, resulting in the coital tie. During this time, the male and female cannot be separated. If they are forcibly separated, damage can be done to the female's reproductive organs. The coital tie lasts about 5 to 60 minutes. Canine reproductive cycle versus wolves. Unlike wolves, who have heat cycles once per year, domestic dogs have 2 to 3 heat cycles each year. Also, unlike wolves, the dog's estrus cycle is not affected by seasonal changes in daylight. Female wolves go into heat in late December, whereas domestic dogs are just as likely to go into heat regardless of the season. Domestic dogs also reach sexual maturity earlier than wolves. Wolves have their first heat cycle around 2 years of age, but dogs can have their first heat cycle as early as 6 months, with larger breeds developing later than smaller breeds. Signs of heat cycle. There are several things that change prior to a dog going into heat. These things can serve as predictors to let us know when to expect our dogs to begin a heat cycle. First, they will have a very swollen vulva. They may begin to urinate more, become restless, and be more or less hungry. The most obvious sign that a dog has begun the heat cycle is bloody discharge. Stages of reproductive cycle. There are 4 stages that make of the dog's reproductive cycle: anestrus, proestrus, estrus, and diestrus. Anestrus is the period of reproductive rest. The duration varies based on several factors, including age, breed, living conditions, and health. Larger breeds have longer periods of anestrus than smaller breeds. The average length of anestrus for all dogs is 5.5 months. Proestrus, also known as preheat, is the beginning of the heat cycle. During this stage, blood-colored vaginal discharge appears and the vulva is turgid, making mating impossible or difficult. Females in proestrus may act playful around male dogs, but will guard their hindquarters and protest mating displays. Proestrus typically lasts from 6 to 11 days or 9 days on average. During estrus, the vaginal discharge becomes a lighter straw or pink color. Estrus is characterized by sexual receptivity, which is evident by female behavioral changes. She will now allow and even initiate interactions with males, including crouching and elevating her rear quarters towards them. Female dogs may also deviate their tail to one side as an invitation for breeding. Estrus can last for 2 to 21 days. Ovulation occurs during the estrus stage, usually around the 7th day of estrus. Ovulation is when the ovaries release eggs, which can be then fertilized. The eggs are viable for 12 to 72 hours. The number of eggs released depends on the breed of the dog. Smaller breeds release 2 to 10 eggs, while larger breeds release 5 to 20. Due to the difference in number of eggs released during ovulation, small breeds tend to have smaller litter sizes, about 1 to 3, while larger breeds have more pups, 7 to 12. For breeders, knowing when ovulation occurs is essential so that they have a higher chance of successful breeding. One way to determine when ovulation will occur is to measure the levels of luteinizing hormone, or LH, in the female's blood. Ovulation occurs 1 to 3 days after LH levels peak. Breeders keep track of this hormone as the estrus stage draws near and plan to breed several times a day following the peak levels. Diestrus is the 2-month period following the estrus stage. If the female becomes pregnant, this will be her gestation period. If she does not become pregnant, she may become pseudopregnant. In pseudopregnancy, female dogs display symptoms of pregnancy without physically being pregnant. Pregnancy. Once a dog has been bred, pregnancy can be detected in several ways. Ultrasound can detect pregnancy the earliest at 16 to 20 after fertilization. The hearts can be seen on ultrasounds at around 25 days. X-rays can be used as early as 21 days, but can be difficult to see the fluid-filled sacs and to determine the number of pups. At 42 days, the ultrasound can detect the fetal skeletons. Experienced individuals can palpate fetuses between 20 to 30 days of gestation and estimate the number of pups. There is also a blood test that can be administered at 28 to 30 days to detect pregnancy. Secondary signs of pregnancy include abdomen enlargement around 5 weeks. Mammary tissues will develop by day 35. The pregnant female may also have a clear or cloudy vaginal discharge. These secondary signs of pregnancy also occur in dogs with pseudopregnancies, so it is best to use one of the more reliable tests discussed above. Pregnancy, gestation. Humans carry babies for 9 months. Gestation, or the process of carrying babies from conception until birth, lasts only about 2 months in dogs, 56 to 66 days. Larger litters may have longer gestation time than smaller litters. Similarly to humans, pregnant dogs may experience morning sickness. Behavioral changes occur during pregnancy, such as appetite changes, lethargy, and nesting. During nesting, a pregnant female will prepare a place to have her pups. Breeders use a whelping box for this purpose. Some dogs may also become protective over their nesting area. Whelping. Parturition or whelping is the labor process when the pups are born. In large breeds, whelping can last 8 or more hours. There are 3 stages to labor and delivery in dogs. Stage 1 typically goes unnoticed, but a lot is happening to prepare mom for delivery. The uterus is contracting, the cervix is beginning to dilate, and the mom's body temperature drops a couple of degrees. Mom may act nervous or restless, and she may shiver or vomit. This stage can last up to 12 hours. During the second stage of whelping, mom's temperature goes back to normal and she begins having strong contractions with the eventual birth of a pup. This stage can last 10 to 30 minutes. During stage 3, the placenta is expelled. This takes from 5 to 15 minutes for each puppy. Stage 2 and 3 repeat. Contractions, expulsion of puppy, then expulsion of placenta. Newborns. Newborn pups are born in a fluid-filled sac with the umbilical cord still attached. The mother chews the cord and consumes the sac. Then she licks the pup to stimulate breathing. Newborn pups are unable to control their own body temperature, so the mother keeps them warm by curling around them and covering them with nesting material. Newborn puppies cannot urinate or defecate on their own. The mother must elicit urination and defecation by licking the pups for 2 weeks.